What's up, everybody?
We did it.
We're here. We did it. We're on the internet.
The interweb?
The web streams of the not the black web, just like the regular web.
The web that Al Gore started?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did. The internet. He started it. Good thoughts. So guys, welcome. We're officially here. It's 8 o'clock. We're super excited that you're joining us, and hopefully this thing, goes off without too many major hitches.
It's been a work in progress, right?
Yeah, it's our first show, world premiere. So thank you for joining. I am Lauren McLaughlin.
I am Kyle Solinko.
And let's do the damn thing.
Roll it.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot.
For anyone that didn't know,
Coming in hot.
That is the Steph Curry dance.
It is the Steph Curry dance. He has several of them, so we picked our two favorites. But basically, welcome guys. This is our first show of the No Smoke Pickleball Show. Basically, our vision of this show is, of course, to talk about pickleball, things pickleball related, but we also kind of want to go outside the box a little bit, talk about some stuff that's maybe not necessarily like controversial, but maybe some dividing opinions in the pickleball world.
It's teetering on the line.
Yeah, a little like, ooh, if this was on the forum, like some people might get into some smoky chats, shall we say?
I guess I should say if Aspen's taking it down, we're going to probably talk about it.
Oh yeah, we might talk about it if it gets taken off of the forum. So there's that also. Quick intro to who we are. If you are rocking in here and do not know who we are and are just like, I don't know these guys, this is stupid, why should I watch this? So
well, they probably are. They probably are. It is probably
that
stupid.
That is true.
What are you doing wasting your time? What are you doing wasting your time on an 8 o'clock on a Thursday?
Does no one have anything better to be doing right now?
Let's
like
just listen
Jackson. Look at Jackson, just like hanging out here, doing nothing, hanging out on Facebook.
That dude's recovering from heart surgery. That's all he has to do.
Fair enough. I'll allow it. So pretty much, guys, like I said, I'm Lauren McLaughlin, Kyle Solinko, and we are coming to you live, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, currently. Both, of course, pickleball players ourselves. I'm teetering in the 4-0 division, I would say. We got a bona fide 5-0 over here, so,
My partner's carried me.
That is true. He is the weak link of all his partnerships, shall we say? Speaking of partners, oh my gosh, did you see that natural transition just now? Basically, one of your fave partners, Zane Navratil, is going to be our guest on the show.
Please refer to him as Gucci.
I'm sorry, Gucci Zane.
Gucci
Zane will be on the show a little bit later, so hopefully you guys stick around. We'll be chatting with him about some stuff.
Not everything about pickleball.
That's true. Not everything pickleball. A little outside of that.
I mean, we do want to talk about, a little bit of other things besides pickleball, kind of what's going on in our lives. And
true. The world in general. And
things that relate to pickleball but are on the outside of our lives. Kind of.
Absolutely. Did you want to share with the people a personal journey you're currently on, Kyle?
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. Tubbs right here is on a 10-week weight loss challenge.
The tubbers. It's trying not to be so tubbers.
Yeah, that started this week.
How's it going?
It's always rough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the exercise; it's the eating.
That is true. You have some problems.
But we won't go into that
That's true. So we're going to just kind of like jump into things, guys. We're going to have a couple regular segments on the show that we're going to do kind of each show. This won't necessarily be like a weekly scheduled thing. We'll put it out there, when we have time, when we think there's stuff to talk about.
Well, definitely when there's smoke, right?
Well, obviously, if there is smoke in the pickleball world, we'll be, the first ones coming at you. So why don't we go ahead and rock into our first segment? Oh, no, it's Gucci. Hi, Gucci.
No, not yet, Gucci. Get out of here.
Wait, who's that guy? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. So what's simmering is going to be our sort of what's going on in the pickleball world? What's there to talk about? What's been happening lately segment?
It's mostly like we want to kind of recap what's really been going on recently. So like some of the things that like we've seen on the web about things that just happened like last week.
True. Sure. So one of the things we definitely wanted to talk about was the pickleball segment that was on the USA Today show with Tyson McGuffin and Lucy Kovalova. And there were definitely some
mixed opinions
that were put out there about how the segment went. I think basically, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. I think
you're already wrong.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty. I think the two sort of opinions out there were, one, hey, they're talking about pickleball on the Today Show. That's awesome. Like, exposure for the sport, talking about what's going on. I think the contrasting opinion was perhaps, well, that was terrible. I had to turn it off. I cringed. That did more harm than good. So I think maybe there's some truth to both of those opinions. I think, Lucy and Matt Wright were actually recently...
Matt Wright. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're on Brandon Swanson's show recently chatting about the segment. And, before... It's funny because if you didn't see it, Lucy kind of explained how the segment went, I guess, behind the scenes for those of us that didn't know. And I think it basically confirmed what people who thought it went poorly thought, which was basically, the anchors of the show kind of wanted it to be about them. There wasn't a lot of prep time. Lucy and Tyson really didn't know what was going to be going on, what was going to be talked about. They sort of created a court on the street, I guess, out of some material that, of course, tiles. Yeah, like a tile. So, not a great court surface. And so that, I feel like, unfortunately, came across to everyone that it seemed, I think, not Tyson or Lucy's fault by any means, of course.
I mean, I thought they did a great job for the situation.
Yeah, given the circumstances, I think,
But I was cringing when they were playing.
I also was of the opinion it wasn't a great segment, but again, I didn't think that was necessarily, on Tyson or Lucy. I thought, Tyson did a great job of just trying to be, upbeat, kind of say what the sport was about. I think Lucy actually explained on Brandon's show. She was caught off guard. The moment I actually had the biggest problem about was she kind of got asked, I think in like a joking way, like, oh, do you have to be super athletic to play pickleball? And she was caught off guard, and she tried to make a joke and basically was like, oh, yes, of course you do. And I was like, oh, I got that she was trying to joke, but they also didn't give her time to kind of like expand on that. They just kind of moved forward. And I think the whole point about pickleball is that, like, you can be super athletic, like any of the, top level pros that we see playing today, or you can be like a 95-year-old grandma who can barely move, but she's, out there playing. So I think the point was it's for everybody. It's accessible for everybody. And so I think that maybe didn't quite come across. I think people had some issues with...
Well, I just think, like, my main, like, that wasn't even, like, my main concern. My main thing is, like, yes, like we talked about, it was good exposure. But it wasn't necessarily a good representation of the game. just because the anchors were just so
Terrible.
unathletic. Like you couldn't even
like they'd never played a sport in their entire lives.
Like if I never played pickleball and I was watching the USA Today show and I saw that, I'd be like, what is that? That does not look fun at all. Like, why would I want to go and play that?
Like anything. So there was that. So I think that kind of, wraps up the Today Show segment. Hopefully.
I guess the one thing I would like to see different, I guess, is if they had like 4 pro players and they played some very simple points.
Yeah, I think people
I think that you could kind of see what was going on, but what Lucy was saying, Brandon, like they had no prep time. They didn't really know what the questions were going to be asked, and like they just kind of got thrown in the fire. And I mean, it is what it is. But they were on the Today Show, so good exposure.
That is true, I guess. So let's move along to our next subject, which is Vulcan. Pickleball just recently had a couple signings of some pretty big names in the pickleball world. You want to go ahead and give a rundown of that?
Well, I first heard of Vulcan. They made back grips for like adult softball. Like they're really colorful ones. That's where I first heard of them. And then I heard they were making pickleball paddles. And I saw at the U.S. Open, the first time I really saw it was Joey Farias was playing with
Farias
was playing with I forgot what his first name is, but De La Rosa, the really good racquetball player.
Yeah,
and he was using that paddle, so I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. But so as many people saw, Corinne Carr, Tyler Loon, and Jay Hall got signed for Vulcan.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll say, like, I had never heard of Vulcan.
Me either. I still don't
in really any capacity.
I saw a couple people online. I think his name's Tony Curtis, maybe down in Texas.
Oh,
was using it.
So it's maybe been around, but like very sort of.
But what's
rarely.
Yeah, but what was interesting was that like they must be giving some type of decent money away.
Oh yeah, I mean their
sponsorships must be
they're coming in hot.
They are coming. They want to. They looks like they're trying to make a presence, but like in order to get Tyler Loon to stop using that Z5 paddle, I mean.
Ding. Ding.
I mean, they probably had to pry that thing. So that's what I'm saying, man. I was just thinking they must have gave him a good deal to get that paddle out of his hand, because he would not change that paddle for.
And in the pickleball world, like.
And Tyler Loon, he's a top singles player,
absolutely.
Very good, very,
of course,
very
like Corinne Carr,
yep.
Plays with Simone all the time, like top level as well. And so she actually, didn't you mention this is her third company?
Yeah, she was with Perlite and then Engage, and now she's with Vulcan. So, I mean,
That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing, too, in the pickleball world that we've seen a lot, not just with Vulcan, but we've seen a lot of movement from these pro players, like,
I mean, I
fairly easily, I would say, between companies, depending what they're offering at different times.
And, that's the thing.
And, of course, no one really knows. So.
And it's a business. Like, take if you're a player and, like, you want to make you want to play more pickleball, or you want to advance it more, becoming a profession. Like, I mean, loyalty may not be there. It's a business. You might want to just take the best offer you can get. And, I mean, I never doubt. I mean, I never.
Yeah, you're not going to fault
anybody for taking the best deal or doing what's best for them. I mean, the company's going to do what's best for them, and the player's going to do what's best for them.
So. Speaking of the Vulcan signings, there was a bit of a kerfuffle on the forum this last week in relation to the Vulcan signings. Somebody actually created a post, which, P.S., this thread no longer exists on the Pickleball forum because it got so smoky. It got real smoky in there, and got taken down probably the same day, maybe?
No, I think it was
the next day. But essentially what happened was someone made a post about they were surprised people were not talking more about these Vulcan signings that just happened. And I think somehow Gizmo J. Hall kind of got caught in the crossfire of he was one of obviously the players signed. He's not necessarily a top 5-0 pro player on the pickleball scene right now, but a huge presence, obviously, in the pickleball world. He was recently in Pickleball Magazine. I think a lot of people, if anyone's, encountered him online, in person, like, obviously, you know who Jay Hall is.
Yeah,
like,
and from
his cheeseburgers, his personality, his big presence or whatever, like, there's, like, I've met him a couple times, like, had nothing but good experiences with him. And I think basically the thought was he got signed by Vulcan, and should he have been? I think people kind of put out there that maybe, like, why is he being signed? Because he's not necessarily like a top 5-0 pro. And I think there was a bit, it delved into basically like, what is a pickleball pro? Like, what does that mean? Who qualifies? Who gets to say what that is, etc. So I think there was some talk about that, and I think we kind of had discussed it as well at the time. So I think,
well, I just think like where pickleball is at right now, like you don't need to be a top pro to get a sponsorship, first of all. And like with Jay Hall, he's just, he markets himself really well. He's really good. I met him one time, but people online says he's a great person and he promotes the game. And like, companies want that. They want people that promote their stuff, that has an online presence. I mean, that can get sponsorships too. Because
absolutely.
we'll talk about this maybe at a later date, but like when you're signing a top pro and you're paying them a certain amount of dollars, like if they're just playing pickleball, what type of return on investment are you really getting?
Yeah, like how much are you really getting out of them by your name being on their shirt when they play? Like they don't necessarily go out and grind for your company the way maybe Jay Hall would.
Yeah.
Like he does live streaming, good ambassador, like.
But like I think when we talk about this pro, I think what people are getting caught up in is a professional athlete. Like when I hear pro, I immediately think a pickleball pro. Like, and this is like even caught in my head. Like a pickleball pro, I'm just thinking about their play.
Yeah.
But you made a good point. You can be a pickleball
absolutely. Like there's people that teach it, like that is their profession. So like that could also be a pickleball pro. And I made the point to you, which we didn't necessarily agree on, was I made the point that one, I think there can be I don't necessarily agree that it has to be this is the only thing that you do in your job in your life is pickleball for you to be a pro. I think that there can be pros at multiple levels, especially because pickleball has yet, like the USAPA has not come in and, set any sort of guidelines or qualifications to be a pro. So I feel like right now it's all about people's opinions or like what they want to say.
Yeah, and like when you look at the tennis, like if you want to like get on the tour, you have to qualify. Mm-hmm. And like the people that are qualifying, like that's obviously they're playing in bigger tournaments, like they're getting paid. That's their profession. Like pickleball is just like the Wild West right now. Like anything. I mean, that's why literally anybody to me, like I don't get offended by anybody who calls himself a pro. Like you want to call yourself a pro? There's no guidelines, like you said. There's no tour. There's no pickleball circuit. There's nothing. So if you want to call yourself a pro, be my guest. But guess what? You're gonna go out and you're gonna play and like we'll settle it on the court, But like I don't get it.
But again, you say we're gonna settle it on the court. Like, what does that mean?
I know it's just like
does that mean that like it's like you're not good enough to be called a pro?
I mean,
because like the real pros will like kick your ass.
Well, like I just think like deep down inside, a lot of us know like there's like some players that are just head and shoulders above us.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, like, again, I made the point before, which I think still is completely valid. Colin's a pro. Indeed. Thank you, Colin. I agree with you. But I just feel like it's the same thing with, like, take the NFL, the NBA, professional baseball, any professional sport where, like, the players make millions of dollars, sponsorship, blah, blah, blah. Like, there are the LeBron James of the NBA, and then there are people that have never seen the inside of a game.
I know, but
because they ride the bench, but they're still they're a professional basketball player.
I know,
They still
Lauren,
got a contract for like $1 million. So like they're not. There's a range of athletic ability.
I know, but those players actually had to make the team. They had to make the cut. They had to work their way and get drafted. They had to like make the team. Like there's nothing like that in pickleball. Like
That's what I'm saying. Like, so who's to say
That's
that,
exactly
like,
what I'm saying.
when it comes down to it, it won't be a range of like 4-0 to 5-0. And speaking of, like, the freaking rating system, I think is basically like subjective AF because like, who's to say? Like, there's some people out there like decided like, oh, what, and like people call themselves whatever rankings they want. And yeah, like if they play in a bunch of like sanctioned tournaments, they'll get their official rating. But like, I'm rated literally like I'm rated a 3-5 in women's doubles right now because I never play women's doubles, and I'm rated a 4-5 in mixed doubles, and I'm just like, how is that possible that you can be like a full like point level difference? Because like,
yeah, they definitely got that wrong. I play with you like every other day. You're definitely not a 4-5.
exactly, I agree. Can somebody at pickleballtournaments.com look into that? Because
But getting back to what I'm saying is like until like somehow there's a tour or something like, but like we were also saying like unless it's to your profession, you're a pickleball professional.
yeah.
So what does that mean? Is that your life? Is that your job? Does that make you professional? A pickleball professional?
Yes, I think so.
Does it make you? I don't know.
It's a tricky.
It's right now
again,
we're in a tricky limbo.
I think basically both of us are of the opinion that like, who cares?
Yeah, I don't really.
At this point, like,
I do not get.
What's the problem?
I don't get butthurt over that.
There's no problem. There's no problem.
Or what people think they are. Just
All right.
Come out and play.
So let's go ahead and move on that note to our next little segment where I'm probably going to have to get rid of Gucci again. Oh, no, he's not there. Oh, good. We didn't have to get rid of Gucci.
So,
all right, smoke or no smoke?
So, how do you want to explain this one?
So, I will explain this. Basically, it's a good segment from what we were just talking about with, like, that whole post on the forum that went bananas. Basically, like, smoke or no smoke is, are you bringing, like, is there actual, like, shade? Is this just, like, shade being thrown at this? Is this, like, somebody throwing a tantrum? Is this, like, someone's personal whatever? Or is there, like, a legitimate, like, is there a legitimate point behind something? So we're basically going to take, like, something that's happened and show it to you guys or talk about it. And
we want your opinion.
We want to know smoke or no smoke. So our first segment is it took place at the Chicago Open about 3 weeks ago. I think was the Chicago.
Yes,
3 weeks ago.
In the final,
gold medal match of the men's pro division between Kyle Yates and Dave Weinbach. They were playing Rick Witskin and Althoff Merchant. And I would say 3 out of the 4 of those players.
Why don't you just roll the clip?
Have a reputation. So why don't you just go ahead and enjoy this couple minutes, and we'll be back to discuss it after.
Dave and Alta. Oh, Dave sets that up. With a two-handed backhand. Shin it. Oh, we got.
So distracting. It's so unnecessary. Every shot, really? Sorry, guys. Sorry, Kyle. It's just a nice.
11-11-1. For the second game.
Oh, come on.
I think these headphones aren't working anymore. They came back and then now they're out again.
Dave will do it every once in a while after a smash, but like it's every single shot. How am I supposed to play it all? I just hear yelling every time. On the serve, he hits a serve and yells grunt. It lands a foot past the kitchen. Come on. Huh? I shouldn't just be able to hit a dink and just yell all the way until they're hitting the ball. It's ridiculous. It's unnecessary. They don't always do that. Well, it's a little unnecessary, don't you think? It's a little distracting.
So, I had the extreme pleasure of being there in person. You did not, because you weren't there. I was actually commentating that match, and so that's me that you can hear, like, giggling throughout, because, I mean, that was...
So first of all, in case you don't know what we're talking about the grunting.
Obviously.
And
There was a yell, grunt, intensity.
First off, who had the best grunting?
I think...
Who has the best grunt?
I honestly, it's got to go to Witskin.
It's definitely Witskin.
It's definitely
Witskin for sure.
Like,
Witskin for the win.
It's just, it's a whole other level. But, I think the main point that we are coming down to with Smoke or No Smoke is...
Does Kyle have
a point? As you obviously saw in the video, Kyle was pretty upset. Definitely thought it was a distraction. He, thought they needed to tone it down, that it was out of control. I think he kind of overlooked the fact that his partner Dave was, right up there with the other guys. So I think, our Smoke or No Smoke is, did Kyle have a reason to be upset? Was that distracting?
Well,
was that over the top?
What do you think, Lauren?
Okay, so my take is, I personally cannot watch Maria Sharapova play tennis ever because I can't stand the way she screams every single shot that she makes. Every single one. And it's it's a slightly uncomfortable yell that she has that I would say verges on sexual, I think, which is what makes it uncomfortable for me. But that being said, I think that was like a 3-minute clip, and that was just game one. So that was one game, but there were tons of points and moments in that everyone was quiet.
Well,
and they were just stinking, they were just playing normal, no yelling, no grunting. Those were just the points that I picked out with some really intense
Great
yelling. Great hands. So I think, I don't know. I mean, what's your take? You've played against Dave, Rick, and Althoff, so you have personally experienced that in a match.
So my take is, during the fast volleys, I don't even hear it. So Zane and I played Dave and Althoff in a final in a tournament the very next weekend, and the points were so intense. I don't when the volleys started, I didn't even hear them.
Yeah,
I was
you're
I was
like
so
zoned
focused.
in.
But there's a little bit of a gray area because, like, yeah, if you're really going for a ball, yeah, grunting, but like sometimes it can be very unnecessary. Like if you're just gonna hit a dink and grunt for no reason,
I definitely think.
like yeah, that's bordering on.
I agree. I do not think Kyle should have got as upset as he did. I think he probably was a little upset that they lost. And that, of course, I think played into what was going on with him. But at the same time, I think he has a bit of a point that it was maybe a little excessive. But at the same time, is that something we can come in and try and tell people not to do? A lot of it happens. I honestly don't think any of those guys are making a conscious choice that they're like, I'm going to yell on this point. I think it just happens. I think it just happens in the moment. There's occasionally, if I have an overhead where I've hit 3 and I can't put it away, the final one, I'll just be like, ah! Make a noise or whatever, because you're just getting so into it.
I mean,
and I feel
does there need to be some etiquette, rules in pickleball?
I mean, there are. That's the thing is, obviously in sports like golf or whatever, everyone's super quiet all the time, and there's nothing. You don't yell in someone's putt or their drive or whatever. But pickleball, when you're in a sport where everything's happening all at once, I don't know if there can be much regulation, because again, I don't think any of them were making a choice I'm going to start yelling in order to distract the other team or make it so they don't play as well. I agree with you. I think there's a gray area where
if you're doing it excessively, if someone's dinking every time and they're going,
I'm just that would be I feel like that was maybe unnecessary.
Yeah.
I do think those 3 gentlemen are probably at the top of their game when it comes to the grunt game in pickleball. I'm not sure I know of anyone else that maybe yells more than the 3 of those guys. Can you think of anybody?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so I think they definitely get the awards for most yelling during a match. I don't know. I mean, feel free to comment, guys, about what you think. If you would be distracted during a match if you had an opponent that was just screaming during all their points. I think obviously it happens probably a lot more in tennis. I think it's sort of known in the sport of tennis. I know,
but that's the thing is though,
Serena yells, Maria yells.
That's the thing,
why?
Excuse you.
Excuse you.
No, excuse you.
Continue.
Okay, thank you. But in tennis, you're so far away, and by the time they're done grunting, the ball hasn't even been to the other player. So it's not
so it's not in the point. It's not in your swing.
Rick's probably still grunting while Dave's hitting the next shot. Yeah, Jordan, I do think some of them can get.
I agree. There's some that are maybe a little over the top.
Yeah.
A little too much. Could be dialed down a little. Yeah. So definitely, I know, Kyle talked to both of them and got in their face a little bit about it. And the second game, they definitely did try and tone it down. They did.
Okay.
And it was really funny because someone actually commented that it was too bad that it got mentioned because it kind of took Rick and Althoff out of their game, and that they couldn't just focus on playing their game, because now they have to think about am I being too loud? Am I grunting or whatever? Which I think is where that sort of gray area comes into play. Whereas are you is it just part of your natural game?
Look at Johnny Storm was there. He said it's definitely seemed
once they were getting under Kyle's skin, they were like, oh, now I'm gonna go for it.
So Johnny Storm saying there is some smoke there.
There's a little smoke. All right. Well, I think that's probably my opinion as well. I think there's maybe a little smoke.
I think definitely this should be maybe brought up in a USAPA rules meeting.
I think maybe it should be something where the ref has the authority to be
that's
guys,
maybe this
tone
needs
it
to be
down.
talked about.
Yeah,
maybe there needs to be something done. I don't know.
I mean, I've seen a ref literally give someone a warning for swearing when I feel like that's much more common than the grunting. So I think it's very sort of subjective what refs are or aren't gonna, warn people about. So that's our smoke or no smoke. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We'll hopefully come up with some good controversial things going forward. But I think it's probably guest time. What do you say? We need a little Gucci in our life.
I think we need a little Gucci in our life.
We need a little Gucci. All right. So, guys, Zane Navratil is our guest. We're going to go ahead and get him going here and chat with him about some stuff. Gucci!
Hey, yo, Gucci!
What's going on?
You
guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you, Gucci.
We got you, Gucci.
All right, sweet. So you guys are at the Facebook stream is about 30 seconds delayed from the Skype call. So just so you guys do know that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, luckily you're the only one on the Skype call who's going to see the difference. So there's that.
Well, if you put something up, then
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
but we'll discuss.
It'll take me a second. You'll just have to bear with me. I'm
Okay,
slow per usual.
All right. So for everybody that doesn't know you, this is Zane Navratil. He is hailing out of Racine, Wisconsin.
Good old Raytown.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Are you 23 now, Gucci? 22?
23. Yep.
I
think.
Oh,
yeah.
23. 23. Recently just signed with Onyx.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a pickleball pro, as we have defined it today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably, obviously, Kyle and Zane partner together often in tournaments and have the last year and a half or so, I would say.
We get around.
You get around. All right. Yeah. They are in love with each other. So there's that. But I would say probably, feel free both of you to correct me if I'm wrong. Zane, I think you are establishing a reputation as being very fast, very quick, burning a lot of holes through your shoes.
Oh, I definitely do that. Yeah,
yes,
I'm good at that.
Very, very exciting points. We actually have a clip that I took when we were at the U.S. Open this year. You played with Cassandra Gerke in mixed doubles, and you actually got a bronze medal at the U.S. Open this last April in Naples. And so
a lot of fun playing with Cass.
pretty
Good friend of
sweet
mine.
clip. Cass, we apologize ahead of time for putting you on blast in this point, but we're highlighting Gucci, so let's go ahead and roll that clip.
I think I know which this one is.
Oh, Gucci.
0-1-1.
So that was obviously me and you watching the clip.
Gucci, can you just, for a second, just take us through that point? Yeah.
I'm actually watching it right now. I can
reliving.
I'm seeing it now
the
on
glory.
stream.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. Take your time.
Take your time.
So, Cass had a little bit of a whiff there, but we're all
first talk about us, you dribbling the.
Yeah, first of all, I included that on purpose. That you.
Was that intentional?
Yeah, it's a bit of a pre-match ritual. I have a little something I say before every match to my partner, which I think this is a PG-13 stream as far as I understand. So I'm not going to repeat that on here.
Did you say PG or PG-13? You get one F-bomb in PG-13.
We get one F-bomb, huh? Well, I'm pretty sure my mom's watching too, so we won't go for it. But I think after that performance, bouncing the first serving ball off of my toe is going to be a staple of my game now, along with the other thing.
I think. Is that
only at the U.S. Open, I guess.
Exactly.
It helped in 1 of 5 events. So
exactly, and of course it happened on championship court, so the most people watching. So
all right, take us through the point, Gucci.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually, I'm usually pretty bad at remembering what happened in matches. I usually remember just about zero from it, other than like possibly the final score or who won, maybe. But so I guess watching the film, Cass kind of whiffed the overhead, and I don't know. I just scrambled. It's one of my nicknames is the Scrambler. So I just I got back there, smacked the crap out of my paddle on the ground because I had to dig it out under her. I think the Kawamotos were pretty surprised that it came back because Cass actually did a pretty good screenplay. They didn't really see it coming. I think Matt missed the next ball. And after that, I'm pretty sure we went on like a 7-0 or a 6-0, like some sort of big run. I had to change out the paddle. Because it was I broke it
on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I broke it. It was donezo. So yeah, and then we luckily went on a pretty big run after that. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, I enjoy. As of course, you could hear Kyle and I went bananas after.
Yeah, you guys went nuts. I remember hearing that from the court.
That was seriously that was one of the craziest things because that was my first time at the U.S. Open, and so of course I'd never even been on championship court, and so I was actually shocked that no one cheered, no one yelled anything or was encouraging. Obviously not in a bad distracting way, but I was the only one. I was like, Gucci, let's go Gucci. The whole
it was like somebody
and you could hear me
I don't know
because
what was going on.
Nobody else said anything, and I was like, is this not allowed? Is this the quiet court?
Golf claps.
So that was fun. That's why you could hear our cheering so loudly because no one else cared that was the craziest point ever. So
I appreciated you guys. I could hear you guys from the court. We had a little bit of a back and forth going, even though you guys were up at the top. I was hitting my serves pretty hard, and as Kyle likes to say, we send it for the boys. So I heard Kyle saying, "Send it." And another thing was, I think I hit an overhead into somebody's foot, and I heard Kyle say, "That's a Dura pedicure right there."
Shout out to Danny Long Jr.
Yep, one of our friends from Springfield, Illinois.
From Springfield.
Absolutely.
Yep. So it was awesome to have you guys there and to watch and keep things light. I'm intense, but I like to have fun in that way too. And keep things. I like to laugh with my partner and stuff, which is why I like to play with Kyle and Cass, and I like to play with anybody I can have fun with. So
yeah,
all right,
that's what it's all about.
I guess the people.
First of all, Gucci, scoot over to your right just a little bit. There you go.
I guess
your beautiful face.
Gucci.
I wanted you guys to get my good side, but whatever.
Gucci, the people really want to know, how did you get the nickname Gucci in the first place?
Well, in high school, I made a Twitter page, and I was like, okay, what rhymes with Zane? And there was the rapper Waka Flocka Flame. So my Twitter handle is @WakaFlockaZane. And then I just decided to keep the rapper theme going.
Make sure you guys follow Zane on Twitter.
Yeah, that was a
shout out to Zane's
plug right there. But I was keeping the rapper theme going. And it was all ironically, in my opinion. But there was Gucci Mane as a rapper. And so I chose Gucci Zane. Gucci Gucci was already taken, so I have 3 C's in there. So yeah, Gucci Zane.
Amazing.
And now Kyle, when we first started playing together, he I think found my Instagram and just immediately started calling me Gucci, and so I think somebody at Pro Lights Marketing started calling me Gucci after that, and it kind of strangely took off. But actually, Gucci Zane is probably the best of my nicknames that I've acquired since playing pickleball. Some of the others, yeah. Dave Weinbach likes to call me Elastigirl.
Yeah, because no one likes that one.
It's not very creative. No, I don't know.
No, we don't. No, we don't use that.
Let's see. There's the Scrambler.
Dude, I thought the Scrambler was your breakfast that you made.
It is the breakfast that I make.
I know. I was thinking, is that because of how much you love breakfast food and eat so
That's
much?
definitely, breakfast is the most important food of every meal.
I mean, true that. True that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people might not know you played tennis at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater.
And I see Nick Schaefer joined. I'd like to add that I played tennis at the Prairie School in Racine.
Oh,
Shout out to Mr. Schaefer. So he's watching right now. So
sweet, sweet. So you have a big tennis background, and I think we have seen certainly an influx in tennis players into pickleball. Maybe because, it's, I don't know. Why do you think that is, Gucci? Why do you think so many tennis players, especially like young, athletic people that, could still be at the top of their tennis game, why are they switching over to pickleball?
well, first of all, I think nobody disagrees that tennis translates pretty well to pickleball. It's a lot of racket skills, some quick hand stuff. But I think probably a more interesting reason would be once people are done playing high school tennis or college tennis, there are so many different tiers of tennis, right? So I was a decent D3 player. I would get my butt kicked by, the top D3 players who would get their butt kicked by a mid-tier D1 player and so on and so forth. And I was probably 6 or 7 tiers from playing pro tennis, and I played so much tennis, and I was good at it, but I was nowhere close. And the cool thing is when you come play pickleball, you can be relatively good and be considered a pro when I would have no chance of ever playing pro tennis. And the other thing is after playing high school tennis or playing college tennis, there's not really another very competitive alternative either. You can play some USTA stuff, United States Tennis Association stuff, but that's whatever. I didn't think that wasn't the same sort of competition that I was used to playing in, good high school and team atmosphere in college and stuff. So it's nice to be able to be really competitive and play, I guess, at a pro level after playing tennis. So that's why I switched over.
All right, Gucci, let's get your opinion. What is there pros in pickleball, or what makes a pro, or what's your thoughts just on that segment that we just had?
Well, I guess tennis, there's teaching pros, there are playing pros. Right now, I think there might be some sort of confusion about what makes a pickleball pro because nobody's able to make a living being just a playing pro yet.
True.
So everybody that is a pro pickleball player is supplementing their income somewhere else, right? So I think that's what stems the confusion. So I guess, to be a playing pro, I guess you'd probably want to be, a sponsored player, doing well at 5-0 events, maybe winning some money, that type of stuff. But otherwise, adding value, and anybody that's doing pickleball full time, I guess, could be considered a pickleball pro, whether that's teaching or broadcasting or playing and teaching, some combination of all of those. So like you guys kind of said, nobody knows yet, but there is no true playing pro at this time. Even the best people at the top of the game, Kyle, Matt, Ben, Tyson, they're all doing other things to make some money on the side. So
Slash living in their parents' basements.
Who is?
Who? What?
Okay, that's some
that?
smoke right there.
There's no smoke. There's no smoke here.
I am not living in my parents' basement right now.
No one thinks no one thinks you're a pickleball pro. I'm just joking. I do sometimes. You actually make a really good point, Gucci, in that nobody can truly make a living as a pickleball pro right now, like as an athlete, because there just isn't. I mean, I suppose technically you could, but you would be living real minimally, I'll say, and you would have to be. One, you'd have to have an amazing contract because there just isn't the money yet in pickleball
with major
to be
sponsors.
supporting you know, a sponsorship like, you know, even the top like Paddletech, Selkirk, Onyx, all those guys, like they have pros that they support and sponsor, but at the same time, like there just isn't the money in pickleball or, you know, the viewership, the sponsorship. Like nobody necessarily is going out and buying a certain brand because of a pro wearing it. Like that's my personal opinion. Like I'm sure there are people that are like, oh my gosh, like I love this person. Like what do they play with? Like that seems great. But like honestly,
you buy your paddles based on the color scheme.
Well, I have a custom paddle now. Don't confuse yourself. But
I don't know if I agree with that though, Lauren.
Well, come at me, bro.
All right. Well, I mean, look
Bring
at
that smoke here,
Dave.
bro.
Dave is the obvious example. Look how many people are using those Badger paddles.
Yeah, maybe because he like badgered them into getting them. I mean, what do we honestly think it's like? Oh my gosh, like what does Dave Weinbach play with? Or was it more like, hey, I'm Dave Weinbach, play with my paddle?
I mean, like, who's to say?
Well, maybe there's some of both, but
I agree.
I see Badger paddles wherever I go.
Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin, Carell, unbelievable.
That's what I'm like. But honestly, like, do you think they like take for example, you know, the big sponsorship of other pro athletes, Nike, Adidas, blah blah blah. Like, they create shoes and gear for athletes. Like, people go out in like the millions and spend millions of dollars because it's like LeBron James shoe or Tiger Woods, whatever, like who whatever their product is. So like there's no like technically, yeah, I guess like Dave's the only one I can think of that has like his own paddle.
Tyson
or
McLaughlin
like
has his,
Tyson does?
Yeah, his Invicta paddle.
Yeah,
and
Ben Johns has his.
Yeah, Ben Johns now is coming out with his.
But again,
I
like,
mean,
same things
Matt
like,
and Lucy are the face of the new Evoke Premier. That's basically their paddle.
But that's the thing is like, so yeah, there's gonna be some people that are like, hey, I'm new to the sport or whatever. But that's the thing too, is we brought this up before. People that are new to pickleball, they don't know these people. Like, unless you're in pickleball, like you don't know any of those people. You don't know their names. You've never seen them play. You probably don't like. You don't like when I first started playing pickleball a few years ago. Like my dad and family have been playing for a long time, but like I literally went to the store and I picked a paddle that I thought was pretty. Like that's literally how I picked out my paddle, and like my dad made sure it was actually like a good paddle. But at the same time, like if you would have been like, oh, this person, I would be like, who? Like I don't know who.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but at the same time, I mean, that's kind of how I was when I started playing tennis. I first got my first tennis racket at Dick's and picked one that I thought looked cool. And I mean, I didn't care. I didn't know who Federer and Nadal and those guys were. But once I started taking it more seriously, a year or two in, I got, pretty addicted to tennis. And I'm like, oh, okay, which racket does Federer use? And I got this tennis racket. I think like 11 at that time. I got this tennis racket that weighed like damn near a pound, and it was terrible for my game. But I was like, if Federer uses it, it must be good for me, right? It was actually terrible for me, but I still bought it. Well, my parents bought it because because it was the one that Federer used, and Federer was the best. So I'd find it difficult
like
to
me
believe that
too.
wouldn't be the case with pickleball as well.
Well, like when I first started playing too, like when I played one time, I would borrow the paddle, but then instantly I went on YouTube and like found it was like, so this was at the end of 2016. So like I looked at the U.S. Open and I was like, oh, I watched the final. I was like, oh, so 2 Pro Light paddle or 1 Pro Light and 3 Paddle Tech. Oh, I should probably get a Paddle Tech since those are what the best players are using. So there is some component to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if everyone's like that. Like I want to get the best stuff. I'm like you. I'm like, oh, I'm going to start doing this from now on. Oh, I'm going to invest a little bit into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're kind of.
Some people just go to Dick's Sporting Goods and they buy, whatever they see on the shelf, which is okay too.
True. Because a lot of times, I mean, a lot of the tennis stores now, like Tennis R Us in Naples, like they have every pickleball paddle imaginable because they are like, buying into the pickleball scene, which is huge in Naples. So like if you were a new player and you went into, you know, that store, you would have so many more options than if you walked into a Dick's. You got like, you know, 4 paddles maybe. So I think that's definitely an option. And speaking of you taking pickleball more seriously now, why take pickleball more seriously now? What's Gucci Zane's what's your end goal? What's the dream?
Well, I guess this kind of goes back to what we touched on a little bit before. I like to play pickleball because it's something that I can be really competitive in after playing college tennis. I don't really have much of a desire to play too much tennis anymore. I'm all in on pickleball because it's a much more social game. I think it's a better designed game than tennis. I don't have to serve overhand, which was a big plus for me, aka hit them wide, long, and in the net. Some combination of all 3 of those. My serve sucked. It was atrocious. But I can definitely. I like the fact that I have a very good serve in pickleball now, where my serve was always a liability in tennis. So that definitely helps. Being good at it. Yeah, I just play with it because I have a lot of fun. And that's the truth.
But
Once I stop having fun with it, I'm gonna be done with it.
I know you're having fun with it, Zane, but like you're putting so much time and effort into it. Like there has to be something you're trying to get out of it besides having fun.
I don't know. It's good exercise. I can make a little money every once in a while.
Is it kind of like
I love
hustle?
I've made a lot of really good friends in the last year and a half
Gucci,
from
I
playing.
thought the white van was your side hustle.
We're not going to talk about that on air, Kyle.
Oh, okay.
Dennis forbade it. Do you feel like, Gucci, do you sort of feel like pickleball is a sport where if you're good enough, you just kind of fall into being a pro? Because if you're good enough, like a company's going to seek you out and like want to sponsor you. And then obviously, like if you get to a certain level, like you're going to start playing in pro events because you're not competitive, you know, in lower levels. So it's kind of like, it's almost like you just being naturally talented, like made you a pro. Like it's not like you, like when you started pickleball, like was that were you kind of like, I want to be a pro? Like I want to be a pro. I want to get a sponsorship. I want to play with the top level. Like was that going in your sort of like thought?
No, I didn't even really know that existed. When I first got sponsored, I was like, oh wow, this is cool. I didn't realize this was a thing. But no, that's not the reason I started playing. I started playing because my dad dragged me out there when I was in high school, and I had the classic tennis player mindset. I'm like, this is stupid. Why am I going to the senior center, the day before Christmas to go play pickleball? I'm gonna kick their asses. They're like 70 years old. Send them back to their nursing homes. But but lo and behold, Bob Loomis kicked my ass, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get good at this game. I'm too competitive to let some old people,
Whoop ya?
kick my butt like that. And so yeah, I decided I liked it, and it's something I can do with my friends and my dad, and yeah, I mean, what else can you ask for?
I mean, you really haven't been taking pickleball full time for a while now, right? Like probably almost just a little over a year, right?
Yeah, after I finished tennis last May of 2018, I played a lot that summer and fall, and then all this year I've been playing a ton. Yeah, playing almost every day. When I can do it, I won't be able to do this forever. I start my real job September 3rd, so I'm just living it up right now, playing as much as I possibly can.
So how do you think your real job's going to affect your pickleball side hustle?
Well, my real job side hustle is hopefully not going to affect my pickleball career that much. We'll put it that way. No, I think I'm an early riser, so hopefully we can, you and I can find some place to drill in the mornings, and
Hey.
you know, I'll have to be a little more
Get
successful.
your mind out of the gutter, Gucci. People don't want to hear about
that. Your early morning.
We can drill wherever you want to, Kyle. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to be able to play a decent amount. I'm definitely going to be more selective with traveling and stuff. I can't take the 2006 Toyota Matrix everywhere. You know, just time gets in the way of that.
So I guess my next question is, like, what are some of your favorite things, like, that tournaments present to you? Like, is it like the whole thing in general, like travel, or can you just kind of talk about that? Like, why do you enjoy going to tournaments so much?
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend Jenny and I, we really like road trips, so we do drive to pretty much every tournament that I go to. Like Kevin and I drove down to Atlanta, which is about a 14-hour drive. Got to know the guy pretty good. So road trips are fun. I love traveling and seeing new places, and pickleball has taken me to some of those, like Florida and Atlanta and Kentucky and all over the Midwest and stuff. Just get to see a lot of you know, new different places that you might not, you know, find the time to do otherwise. And I love playing with new people, rec games and stuff, and I just like to compete too against different people, and you know, it's fun to go see some of those pro players. You know, we have a couple of pro players in the Midwest, but you know, they're kind of more centralized along the coasts, the groups of pro players. So it's fun to see, you know, top people and what they're doing elsewhere too. So it helps me improve my game and bring back things to work on.
So like over like the last several months, Gucci, like your game has like really taken off to another level. Like, what do you attribute that to?
Playing way more than I should probably.
Yeah, but like in terms of like you're like you've done very well in some major tournaments in singles and in doubles as well. But like, do you think like you've improved more in singles or in doubles? In that sense.
Well, I think I'm a more skilled doubles player overall. I just think that less people take singles as seriously, so there's more opportunity to be at the top of the game. So, like, for example, I'd say I am a better tennis player than I am pickleball player. I've played way more tennis in my life. I have better strokes, everything. But I am closer to the top of the game in pickleball, if that kind of makes sense to you. So I think I'm a better doubles player because I've spent much more time playing doubles, but I have better results in singles because I'm able to use some of my tennis background, my ground strokes. I've got good footwork and stuff. So I think, you know, just playing where the game isn't quite as, the meta hasn't quite developed as much in singles as much as it has in doubles. And I've been drilling a lot with my dad. He's awesome to drill with. He lets me play half court versus full court singles and just runs me into the ground on a relatively frequent basis. So that's how I get my conditioning. So yeah, I mean, I just enjoy the grind of singles. I like running around like a chicken with my head chopped off, and
you do.
Yeah,
like anyone
and I do.
Play, like, it's crazy. Like, I feel like it's crazy that you haven't like broken your ankles just like sliding and
for
like
people that don't
directions.
Know, Gucci
they're
goes
basically
through a pair
rubber
of
bands
shoes.
at this point.
Gucci
yeah,
goes
how
through
often do you go through a pair of shoes?
Beer City was like middle of July, and I had a new pair of shoes for that, and I had them worn out with holes in the bottom of them about a week ago. So in the summer when I'm playing like singles, drilling a lot, it's like 3 weeks.
That's crazy. So speaking of tournaments too, I know we wanted to touch briefly on sort of a new thing in the pickleball world coming up next year is the U.S. Midwest Southern Series. which is a tournament series that Ken Herman is kind of organizing, putting on, kind of, a brand new idea into the pickleball world. There's 6 tournaments, sort of all around the Midwest area-ish. All of them are $25,000 tournaments, prize pools for each of them. So I think there's just like there's like some really cool new things coming to the pickleball world, and I know that is kind of one of them that Ken's really gotten behind and doing an amazing job sort of promoting, organizing, all that stuff. What are your thoughts about, something like this series that's going to be going on next year?
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome thing. And actually, Ken asked me to be on the board of the Association of Pickleball Professionals, which is like the players board kind of for the new series. And I said yes. I thought that's a cool opportunity. And I just think it's awesome for the development of the sport. I mean, tennis did the same thing. They made a players association and they made sort of a tour. And it really helped tennis. And I think we can actually, possibly see pro players as a result of this, right? Truly pro players. Yeah. If you do well at all 6 of those tournaments and the finals, supplement that with some nationals results, U.S. Open, Tournament of Champions, all that type of stuff. I think you could have somebody that's actually a true pro player for the first time ever. And I think that's kind of where we want to see the game go. We all want to see it develop and grow. So I think that's going to be phenomenal for it to have that sort of organization. And actually, Ken just told me today that the Dura is going to be the official ball for the whole series.
You heard that first.
What?
What's that?
An exclusive,
yep,
an exclusive
here.
I know.
No Smoke
I'm
Pickleball
sure
Show?
Kyle Yates is going to be very, very excited about that. And actually, they made a change from this year's Chicago Open as well. It's going to be actual double elimination too, as opposed to the U.S. Open.
Did you couldn't get back up into the gold medal.
And also, don't forget about the Hoping for the Open single elimination tournament too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Hoping for the Open.
Yeah, that's true. There's only a couple tournaments out there that don't let you come through the back draw.
That's on par with the U.S. Open.
Exactly. But that's awesome. We are super excited for it as well, and what that's going to mean for pickleball.
Should we have some fun with Gucci?
Yeah. So Gucci, we want to get away from maybe a little pickleball and just have a little fun. We thought we'd do a little rapid fire questions with you. This is don't obviously sort of first thing that comes to your mind, right off the top of your head. No,
you're putting me on the spot.
Yes, very. Okay, so we'll go ahead. You want to start?
Well, Shelly, I am an intellectual, so I'm gonna have a tough time with the. Anyway, just go. Never mind.
Okay, go. Okay, Gucci. What's the last song that you listened to?
Definitely Gucci Gang. Next question.
Obviously. What did you eat for breakfast?
Oh boy. I had a bunch of eggs. I had some fruit smoothie. I'm sure Chuck will laugh at that. And so I had some peppers mixed in there. That was all part of breakfast number 1. So
yeah. What was for second breakfast?
Second breakfast was more of the same. I had some oatmeal, cereal, all that type of stuff.
Nice. What is your favorite emoji?
My favorite emoji?
I knew it was going to be that
one. Love it. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Time travel would be dope.
Ooh.
I would start playing pickleball much younger.
Before anyone knew what it was, you'd be like the only person.
Exactly.
You could have invented pickleball, sort of. I mean, it got invented back in the 50s, which you could technically go back there if you had time travel, I suppose. And then it could be...
I guess. But you don't want to mess with the butterfly effect.
That's true. You don't want to mess with stuff too much. That's a good point. What is your favorite smell?
Yikes.
Don't think about it. Come on.
All right, fine. My own farts. Next.
Every kind of fart? Are there different varieties, or it's just all of them smell?
Just next question.
Perfect. Gotcha. What's the dumbest thing someone's dared you to do and you did?
Well, I play this game called the odds game, where basically based on sheer luck, if you do guess the same number as them, you have to do whatever the dare was. I've licked ice cream off of the floor of an ice cream place before, and that's probably not the stupidest thing I've done. I do a lot of stupid stuff, but it keeps things entertaining.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What is your favorite sports team?
I actually don't really watch all that much in the way of sports. I like my fantasy players in fantasy football, which reminds me, Kyle, you have to actually get on that. You pissing me off. But I guess
very lazy.
Well, I'll just go player in tennis. I like Novak Djokovic. He's a grinder, and he wins a lot.
And he doesn't eat the gluten.
No gluten for him. Mm-mm.
Perfect. Why don't we go with, what is your most prized possession?
The Toyota?
Oh, yeah, I do love my Toyota Matrix. That thing, we've gone through a lot.
How many miles does that thing have on it?
It's got like 208,000 miles on it. So we hit the 200,000 mile marker on the way back from Atlanta, which if that was like 2 months ago. So I put another 8,000 on there. So
running that sucker into the ground.
Oh yeah,
I like it. And why don't we end with what are you freakishly bad at?
What am I bad at? Definitely dance. My girlfriend Jenny is a phenomenal dancer. She danced professionally for a little while with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I have some pretty good moves, but she doesn't really seem to think so. And she would definitely be right. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna have one final little thing. Speaking of your girlfriend Jenny, she definitely helped us out. Sent us a couple pictures. So we're going to do a quick little segment with you called Explain
I thought she was done
yourself.
Sending pictures.
Explain yourself. So there might be a delay.
Only to the Babe Squad.
But we'll throw up a couple of these, see what your thoughts are on them. This first one is going to be you actually wearing your girlfriend Jenny's pants.
What?
Let him see it. He's got to get away.
Well, he's going to see it. I can explain while he's waiting to see it. I mean, you are a very skinny.
Oh, boy.
Explain yourself, Gucci.
High school was a weird time for all of us.
Was it?
Don't they look good, though? I mean, everybody, whatever. Skinny jeans were a thing.
That's a look that guys go for, so, I'm not even surprised. It's not even that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more kind of worried about those green socks.
That is true. So we'll throw up this next one, wait for you to get it. I'm not sure if this was Jenny's as well. I think you might be dabbling in too much of your girlfriend's clothing options.
Well, there isn't there like some type of...
Yeah, let's PG-13.
I hope she didn't show you the ones of me and her thongs.
No, that's maybe for another time. Another episode.
We did have some other pictures, but we didn't know if...
That just looks that looks very comfortable, to be honest.
It's really more your pose that I'm wondering about. Are you cupping a breast? Do you have a fake glass of champagne or a vase that you're holding on to? You look very fancy.
I couldn't tell you. It looks like I'm kind of pondering something or wondering why I'm being taken pictures of.
That is true.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I'm most excited about.
What?
I think you've gone through only maybe one interesting hair phase. So this one definitely needs some explanation of what was going on behind here. Jenny, of course, your girlfriend in the background there, looking lovely as ever, but then there's you.
Oh, boy. Well, okay, so what that hair phase was getting one haircut per year. At the beginning of every summer, I would buzz cut my head and then just let it go the rest of the year. So, um, yeah, that's the result.
It's very helmet-esque. It looks like you could have like put it on.
You look like a 1940 football player.
Oof.
It's rough. It's a little rough, but I appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and end with this one, which of course I believe is, the kids these days for prom and homecoming, they kind of pull out all the stops, whereas back in my day, that didn't happen. So Jenny, I think, got a very special ask for homecoming. And why don't we just go ahead and walk us through that situation?
So I'm actually kind of proud of this one, to be honest.
As you should be.
So Jenny and I went to a small high school together. Our graduating class was somewhere between 50 and 60. So at our school, everybody asked somebody else to homecoming or formal or prom, and that was just kind of normal. Even if you weren't dating or anything, you'd just ask somebody, you'd go as friends. And I liked to stir the pot back in high school, as I still do now.
That's true.
But
I would say that's a quality that you still have.
Yeah, that's a redeeming quality. I still have that. So I didn't really know Jenny very well at all at that point. But I was like, well, that redhead's kind of cute. So I decided I was going to ask her to homecoming. And what better way than to get naked on top of her car in the high school parking lot as all of the rest of the high school and teachers are going out to lunch.
So did this actually happen in person? Like, she saw this in person, right?
Yeah, she walked out of whatever class she had before lunch, came out. I'm on top of her car, and she obviously said yes, because how could you say no to that?
Burning question is, are you actually naked?
No comment.
Oh, all right. Well, I appreciate that. So, Gucci, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It has been absolutely amazing.
Is there anything
chatting with you?
Is there
Do you have any
final comments, Gucci?
Yeah. Thoughts, comments?
Actually, just before this, I saw that our buddy Jackson officially signed with Team Selkirk, so I wanted to give him a little shout out for that.
Another
Jackson
exclusive?
is a super cool kid.
Another exclusive?
Jackson.
He's from Eau Claire, and he just had some heart surgery, so he's out for a little bit. But so this is super exciting news for him. He took bronze actually at the 19+ men's doubles with Davey Fisher at the U.S. Open. So he's an up and comer, and I'm super happy for him.
Yeah, Jackson.
No, thanks for having me. I hope you guys do well in the rest of your podcasts.
Thanks.
This is a lot of fun. I appreciate it. So.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure having you. And I'm sure we'll chat with you later.
All right. Talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.
All right, peeps. So we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you're still with us, we ran pretty long this time. First time, a lot to talk about, a lot to get through. So hopefully you stuck with us or popped in and out. We're going to wrap it up with a quick looking ahead segment on some of the stuff we're hoping to talk about on our upcoming shows, some tournaments that are coming up. Why don't we talk, you want a quick recap of some tournaments that are coming up in the next couple weeks?
I just know that the Quad Cities tournament's coming up, and that's a cash prize tournament in Iowa. And then I know the Vail Open, which is a really cool event. Jerry Stevens, great guy, runs the Vail Pickleball Club.
Yes, I think that is next weekend the Vail Open.
Yes, a lot of the top pros will be there. So
yeah, that'll be an awesome event. And then, of course, we have the Tournament of Champions coming up in, I think, 3 weeks. Yeah. End of this month. Basically, all the pros are going to be there for the most part. And then I know the French Open actually is right after that, which Kyle Yates and Irina Tereshchenko will be going to, sort of representing America, I guess, if as it were, in the French Open. So that's awesome. And I think sort of we'll listen to what you guys have to say about things you think we should cover in the future, things you'd like to see talked about that maybe aren't very much in the pickleball community. And outside of that, I know something was brought up in the forum recently, just sort of about, I would say generally speaking, like mental health, performance anxiety, anxiety in general, as it as it relates to sports, as it relates to everybody sort of personally. And I know we both kind of have our own personal stories as it relates to that. So I think that's something we definitely want to cover in an upcoming show as well. So I guess if we don't have anything else,
roll the clip.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys, for our world premiere exclusive No Smoke Pickleball Show. And we will see you next time.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot.